Welcome to Craig's Gun Channel. This week we're going to revisit the Phoenix Arms HP22. The HP22 has a lot going for it. It's a simple design and is an affordable option for a casual plinking pistol. Despite its low cost, it's surprisingly accurate and it's just a lot of fun to shoot. Another plus it has going for it is that replacement parts are inexpensive and it's relatively easy to work on. In some earlier videos, I've covered some modifications that can be made to this pistol, as well as some barrel options. A few weeks ago, a viewer asked for some information on how to replace the magazine catch, so today that's what we're going to do. I ordered a replacement magazine catch repair kit, which consists of replacement magazine button, the magazine catch itself, and the catch spring. Part numbers 207, 211, and 223 respectively. It also includes detailed instructions for installation. The shipping cost of $5.50 was more than the parts themselves, which really shows just how affordable it is to work on these pistols. In addition to these parts, you'll need a 1/16 inch punch, a slightly larger punch, I used a couple of 1/8 inch ones, a small hammer, a screwdriver, some super glue, and a solid work surface. You'll be hammering on it, so don't use a nice piece of furniture. Now that we have the parts, let's see how they go in. And before working on any firearm, you need to make sure you are empty and clear of any ammunition. So first thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and lock the slide open. You see the chamber area is empty. That also allows us to take the magazine out. So we'll go ahead and remove the magazine. It is also free and clear. At this point, we need to go ahead and take the barrel out. And so you push forward on the disassembly lever. That allows the barrel to then tilt up and out. As you can see, the spring stays compressed in there. Now at this point, we would need to move the slide forward, so you need to put the magazine back in so that the interlock will allow you to take it off safe. Now you want to put your finger over the slide opening there, because as we start to release that spring, it's going to try to fly out. So it's all compressed now, which will hold it in place. So go ahead and hold that in there. Take the safety off. That allows you to bring the slide forward and then off. Here's our lock piece and spring. Now at this point, you can go ahead and lift that back up, remove the magazine so it's out of the way. And we'll go ahead and remove the grip panels. We'll start with the side over here with the magazine release and safety. And take that off. Now here's our safety here. You can actually just, at this point, go ahead and just lift it out. That way it's not in the way and nothing can get damaged that way. We'll flip it over, take the other side off. And on this side, this is our fire control assembly. This is the disconnector here that the slide operates, and you actually want to lift that out. It's held in, but there's a little pin there, and it just lifts out. That's as far as you need to disassemble this, and at this point, everything else is attached and, you know, out of the way. So now we can go ahead and turn it back over, and we'll be starting to work on the magazine release right there. So the next step is we want to remove the magazine release. Now, to install the magazine release, we will need a firm work surface. To remove it, you want something that have a little bit of give. So just get some type of a towel or something, just something that will allow this portion here to drop down below the level of the frame. And then what you're going to do is in the very center there, where that little indentation is, the very center of the magazine release, you'll get a 1/16 inch punch, put that right in the center, and then push down on it, and then a couple light taps to drive it out, and you can remove the old button. There's the old spring and the magazine catch itself. Now, to install the new one, you want a nice firm solid surface, so go ahead and remove the towel there so that will be directly onto the hard surface. In some ways it might even be better if this was even firmer, so I'm going to go ahead and remove my work mat there. So now we're directly on something a little bit more solid, and we'll go ahead and go from there. So we have our new pieces here, and of course you want to kind of get familiar with these parts. Now there is a flat section that's on the magazine release. Of course you've got the shoulder there. On the button you have the center hole. You have where the magazine catch goes down into it, and these parts will only orient one way, so you put it in there until it goes in, and if you notice that doesn't turn in there then, so it's only oriented the one direction. The button itself has a little section that's cut out there, and that corresponds with the section right here, so it can only go in one way. This section here on the button will go into this part there. So kind of get familiar with how the pieces go in there. So it should go into where that fits flush like that. And of course on the other side it can only go one way. So we got that there. We have our spring, and you can go ahead and seat the spring in the button, and usually it will kind of stay in there. If it's loose, you can put it on that part on the magazine release catch itself, and then kind of get an idea of how it all goes together. And when it's in position, you'll be able to push on it, and the post should come up above the level of the button there. And we're going to be peening that or flattening it out with a larger center punch to flatten that out and expand it so that it holds on to the button on the other side. That'll lock them together. Now, what the Phoenix Arms recommends is on the shoulder, go ahead and take this out again. On the shoulder of the piece right there, they recommend that you put just a little bit of a super glue to kind of super glue the button to it, and that will basically just hold it in place while you're doing the other work. So with super glue, it's actually one of those cases where you want to use less than what you think you would want. So it just takes a little tiny dab. Once you get it in place, push the button in, push it all the way down so that the pin comes up and it's in the right orientation. Now you're just going to hold it here for long enough for the super glue to set. Now on this particular super glue, this one says it's 10 to 25 seconds, and then full cure is usually in like 15 minutes. So it will set, and we'll give it 30 seconds, and then before you put any real stress on it, you need to wait for 15 to 20 minutes. So we'll go ahead and see if that's going to hold. Okay, and that's holding. So we're going to go ahead and come back in 15 minutes. Okay, now that our super glue is dried, we'll go ahead and take a look here at the next step, which would be to basically peen that pin that sticks through the magazine release button, to peen it flat, and that cause it to expand in there and to hold it tight. So it's kind of almost need 3 hands for something like this. So you need a larger punch than the one we used to remove the pin. And you'll be basically pushing down on that pin so that ultimately the magazine release is against the hard surface. But you also need to somehow support the button, because even though we super glued that, a couple taps from this, it's probably going to break that super glue bond. It might not, we'll see. And then that'll cause the button to come up, and we want it to be held down. So you kind of need to hold that down, and then kind of hold the button with your finger here. So I'm basically going to hold down with this finger, hold the punch, and then we'll be giving it some taps. And as I suspected, it broke the super glue bond, but it's starting to swell out some. So we'll go ahead and keep doing that. Change to a different punch here. And the goal is to ultimately flatten that out. I mean, resist the urge to really lay into it, because you can break components, so you got to kind of do this with a little bit of finesse. As much finesse as you can get when you're basically hitting something with a hammer. And looks like we are good to go. Check for function. And we're good. So now we just need to go ahead and reassemble everything. And then put our safety back in. So basically just lift up the interlock. Then you can lift that up a little bit so that it slides under. Put the grip panel back on. And flip it around the other side. And here we need to put our disconnector back in, and the little tab that sticks out goes above that there, and of course the hole goes over the pin. make sure everything can move around there. And once that's back in place, you can go ahead and, now I always install the lock piece first, then I put the slide on, then I put the spring in, put it on the front, and then put your finger over all that, and you can slide the slide back, and you want to keep your finger over it. Then lock that in the slide back. Then that compresses your spring. Then you can put your barrel in. Now, of course, we can't take it off safe till we put our magazine in. Make sure the magazine is empty. Then you can take it off safe. Check function. Everything works there. Make sure our magazine release works. And we're good to go. Reassembled. While this is not a difficult task, I wouldn't say it's really easy either. There is a potential to damage the new parts or even the frame of the pistol if you're not careful. Proceed with caution should you decide to attempt this yourself. I hope that this information is of value, and if you like the video, I would ask that you hit the like button and subscribe if you want to continue to see more like this. I value your comments and feedback, and as always, until next week, stay safe.